How the hell you doing, YouTube? Today we're back with a brand new video. So in today's video we're heading back to the same job that we were on. You see we fixed all the insulated plasterboard yesterday, and today we're going to go and scud and scratch the damp course. This is all in preparation to reskim this bungalow. So I'm actually going to put you on a head mount today. I'm going to show you how to mix and stuff in this video, mix render. So let's get started. Okay guys, so this is actually going to be a bit of a longer video. It's going to be like an hour and 20 minutes or so, but I'm actually going to include me mixing some stuff here. So the first thing I'm mixing here is Scud. What Scud is, it's like a really watery render mix that you like slap onto the wall, and yeah. So but basically what we're mixing through here, there's a few different things. So this is half a Monster Energy tin, 3/4 to half a Monster Energy tin. We're using this just to measure out our stuff. So the additives that we've went there with is salt inhibitor, because we're going over a damp course, and then some SBR to help this stick better, some integral waterproofer, and some plasticizer. Now the plasticizer is not necessary in this instance, but I use it anyway. I've added 2 full buckets of sand here and 1 bucket of cement. Then I'll add another 2 sand. So we're mixing this 4 to 1. The ratio you mix this at isn't massively important. You're better mixing everything 4 to 1, I find anyway. And the way render works, the coat that you have on, the coat that goes over it, can't be a stronger mix. It has to be a weaker mix. So if you start at 3 to 1, you're going to want to continue at 3 to 1. If you go 4 to 1, you know, you want at least 4 to 1. 4 to 1 would be the most that I would mix. That's a pretty good mix for almost everything. 4 to 1. So yeah. So once we've got this all mixed up, we're gonna start scudding. Now, as you see here, I've just washed this bucket out. And the way we scud is, I'll hold this bucket by the rim with the handle in my hand. So I'm basically holding it with one hand, and then we will scoop our bucket into this big bucket. So you'll see here in a second, I'll stick the big bucket in, and we'll pull a drop out, and then we'll hold the bucket till the side, and we'll just basically flick the scud at the wall. So I'm gonna leave you with this. The scud will help our next coat of render stick to the walls properly. These walls have been brushed and had a quick flick of water, just so that the scud sticks properly. I always recommend, you see here, I have rubber, like a surgical glove type glove, but then I'll also stick a pair of like heavy gloves over the top to stop the undergloves for ripping, because your hands do quite wet doing this if you don't have the gloves on. So it's always a good option to get your gloves on, and then your hands won't be ruined. Cement is really bad for your hands, and it can cause pretty severe burns if you don't wash it off. And it really dries, I find anyway, it really dries out my hands, so I just don't like getting it on my hands if I can avoid it. So there'll probably be a lot of plasters that'll laugh at me saying that, but and the old fella, he makes fun of me because I wear gloves, but I think it's just a better option. So as you see here, we're just covering this whole wall with this scud. After this is somewhat dry, then we'll do our scratch coat. We're using a offcut of plasterboard here, and that's just to stop the stuff from flying everywhere and covering sort of doors and everything. So ideally I would want the frames in at this stage, but the frames aren't in. We'll actually scratch and float this without the frames being in. It's not ideal, as I say, but the guy we're doing the work for was doing the frames himself, and it was his first time. And yeah, so after this we're going to do a coat of plaster, which we're going to scratch. So I'm going to let this play through, and then I'll come back once I'm mixing up the sand and cement for the scratch coat. Okay, so we're back again, and now we're going to be mixing our sand and cement. So as I was saying earlier on, if our, depending on the the plastering that we're doing, it'll depend on what the mix is going to be. This mix is going to be 4-to-1. This mixer holds a bar full of stuff without spilling out, which is 4 buckets of sand and a bucket of cement. So we're going to go here with the plasticizer with a quarter of a bucket of water in there. We add our plasticizer. We'll make sure to put all our lids back on. This pink one is our integral waterproofer. This is just to stop any moisture from coming through the walls. This is not a necessary step, but it's a step that I take. I just feel better for adding the plasticizer or the waterproofer. So the next thing is the salt inhibitor. Now this is important only for repairing a damp course. Salt inhibitor stops any salts that are on the wall leaching through the plaster and leaving a salt deposit on the face of the plaster basically. It wouldn't happen in this job because it's been dried out for like, I think it was 8 or 9 weeks, so it's nice and dry, but it's just in case. And then again, this is a little bit of SBR. Now, this is another thing that you don't really need to add, but I add just to be safe. SBR is an adhesive. It's really good for adhering plaster to other plaster, and I just use it in this coat especially because we're going under the scud that's stuck to the brick. So after we've stuck our additives in, we don't want our plaster to ever be too wet. So I have a quarter of a bucket in here. This sand was wet, which wasn't ideal, but you'll see here we'll put 2 buckets of sand to start off with. After the 2 buckets of sand, then we'll add a half a bucket of cement, and we'll actually let that mix through. If you add everything all at the same time, what happens is bits of it doesn't get mixed in properly, and yeah, there's like loads of different, you get big lumps of stuff, big sandy bits with no, cement, whatever. So it's always better to mix it thoroughly, your first couple and then your second. So I'll fill this bucket of cement right to the top, so I know this is my full bucket. And this is the reason why I keep my buckets clean, is this reason, so that the cement doesn't stick around the inside of the bucket. So we'll add the cement, half a bucket, and this will tighten the stuff that's in the mixer up. So we'll need to add more water, but we don't want to add too much water, because too much water will make it too watery, and then we won't know whether it's going to be too watery when it's finished. So what we want to do is we want to keep it sort of dry, and we want to add the water slowly. So what we're doing here is we're using the same scooper that we used for putting the additives in, and we're taking the water and we're throwing it to the back of the mixer. If you throw the water in the back of the mixer, it mixes through until the front. If you put it at the front, it only mixes at the front. So you're always better throwing your water right until the back of the mixer, where you can see the back of the mixer. You just aim your water for in there. So we'll add our water, and we'll make it sort of somewhat the consistency that we want it, and then we'll add another 2 buckets of sand and the last of our cement. The more you do this, the more you learn how to do it, and the reason I'm using this little cup is because this is this guy's first day mixing. He's never mixed render before, so I'm showing him the proper way to do it. If this was me, I would just pour a drop of water until the front of the mixer, but I'd rather just show him how to do it properly, then I know every mix is going to be fine. So here we go with our second bucket of sand, and then we'll go with our this is our fourth, so that's 4 buckets of sand. As we can see, it's started to tighten that stuff up again. We'll throw the last of our cement in. Now this, believe it or not, is the most important part, because this is the part that makes the plaster usable or not usable. We'll turn our bucket upside down, and that's just to keep the rain from getting into it. So this is where we have to be super careful with adding our water, because now we want to get it just wet enough where it's a nice consistency for render. And there's a few other things you can do here. So on this job I had a lot to do, so what I done was mixed 2 wheelbarrow fulls, and then left 1 in the mixer. So when I do that, I don't want the one that's sitting in the barrow, the one that I'm using first, I want it to be perfect. I want it to be the exact right mix. The one that I'm putting into the barrow, I want it to be slightly wetter, and then the one that I've put into the one that I'm leaving in the mixer, I want that to be just slightly drier. And the reason for the slightly wetter in the wheelbarrow is that the wheelbarrow is going to be sitting there for a while. It's not going to be mixed again, so it needs to be, left for a bit, so it needs to be a bit waterier, a bit more watery. Then the one in that I'm using is going to be perfect, and then the one that I leave in the mixer, that's going to be a bit drier, because we can remix this because it's basically still in the mixer. I'll mix 3 sets, so 3 mixer fills, then I'll put all 3 on the wall, and then I'll come out and mix another 3. That's the way I do it when I'm on my own. I had this guy with me. This is actually the homeowner, Paul, you call him. He mixes for me this day, which is a lifesaver, because there's a lot of rendering to be done. It was a tight, hard day. But yeah, so I hope that makes things a bit more clear on how to mix render. Like I said before, I'm creating a online plastering course that's going to be part of if you become a channel member, it's going to get you access to that course basically. But I'm going to have an in-depth on how to mix render basically. So yeah, I'm going to let this play through, and I'll come back once we've started throwing the plaster on the wall. Okay, so this is going to be the last bit of talking I do over this video. People ask me what it is that I listen to in my earphones, and it's podcasts. So Northern Ireland comedy podcasts. I listen to Bomb Squad podcast. I listen to Cork in the North. Mudblood. There's a few I listen to. They're all pretty funny. So what you'll see here is I'll go across the top of the damp course. And what I'm doing is I'm using a lot of pressure and nipping this until the old plaster. So we need this to like nip in so that it doesn't just fall off basically. If you don't nip it in, then it just like comes away where it touches the plaster above. We're putting on about a half an inch, maybe about a quarter of an inch, a half an inch coat. But with your first coat, your scratch coat, you want to take away half the depth of the wall that you're doing. So say if the wall's 2 inch, you would want to do an inch basically. Now if it was 2 inch, you would want more than a coat, more than 2 coats. But say like this one, the thickness of this was about an inch. The render that was here was about an inch, so we'll do 2 half-inch coats. Because this house has a concrete floor, we want to keep our render off the concrete floor. The reason for this is that the render will draw moisture out of the slab if it's touching directly. Here where you have electrical sockets and stuff, there's one there on that wall. A good thing to do is cut a little cardboard cutout, stuff all your wires into the box, and then put the wee cardboard cutout into the box. And then it means that you have to be careful, obviously, that you don't bury the box, but what it means is that you don't have to worry about cleaning out the boxes after. You just pull a little bit of cardboard out, and it basically does it for you. As you can see here, we're keeping it back about a half inch from the depth of the plaster, so it just means when we come the next day to sack and coat it, it'll be all good. So what we do is we put a little scratch coat on these bits, and then we'll bead them after. We have a little bit of board to dot and dab onto this bit, but we will bead this side that you see me doing now, and then we'll dab a board onto the other side. So we'll just give that a scratch coat, and we'll set the bead on it later today. We'll just set it with a little drop of render basically. Yeah, so I'll come back to you when I'm scratching it and just explain to you how to actually scratch. Okay, now we're going to actually start scratching it. So here you can see we have our scratcher. This is a draper scratcher. You can get them from Amazon. The link will actually be in the description for this exact one. And we basically just pull this over the edge, and you can see here we're just cleaning our boxes with our fingers. And you can see the cardboard there that I was talking about earlier. And we're just scratching the wall. This scratch will give the next coat a key, so something to hold on to. If you didn't do this, your next coat of plaster would likely just fall off the wall. So that's the reason we do it, and this is called scratching. Yeah. So I'm just going to put a little bit of music over the last of this video, and I'll talk to you at the end. Okay, so that's us done for the day. It was a pretty heavy, hard day. It's now 4 o'clock, and we're all done. We got the scudding done and the scratching, so tomorrow we have to go back and just give it its last coat of render, and that will basically finish it ready for skimming, and then we're going to get the skimming next week. If you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, become a channel member. You get all these videos early. You get extra videos that aren't released to just normal YouTube, and I'm also in the middle of making a plastering course to go on there as well. The plastering course will be on Patreon as well. You can go and check out my Buy Me Coffee link, and then go and check out my Amazon affiliate links. The way the affiliate links work is you buy something linked in the description. If you buy it, I get a small percentage. If you don't buy it but go on to buy something else, I also get a small percentage. It's a good way of supporting me without actually having to give me any money. Yeah, and that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.